Regarding the first point, Guha accepts that this shift from anthropocentrism to biocentrism could be a good thing insofar as it serves as a check on human arrogance and ecological hubris. But when deep ecologists draw the radical conclusions that our intervention in nature should be guided primarily by the need to preserve biotic integrity rather than by the needs of humans, there Guha disagrees. And you can see a similar kind of worry here as that was expressed in connection with Murray Bookchin about ecofascism or anti-humanism, that this way of polarizing the choice between an ecocentric and an anthropocentric approach pits humans as a kind of enemy of nature or an enemy of the earth. And that framework, where humans can be construed as the enemy, has a tendency to lead to trade-offs between human interests and environmental interests, where it's recommended that humans should lose in these trade-offs. Humans should not be protected or taken care of in these trade-offs, and the earth should instead. And that's a very troubling way of thinking for Guha, because it means that some human interests are compromised or sacrificed. Another part of this criticism that Guha makes is that the anthropocentrism versus biocentrism contrast really doesn't get at the fundamental source of the ecological problems that are facing the globe. The way Guha puts this is that these problems haven't been generated by people whose motives were protecting humanity as a whole. These problems have been generated by actors who were fundamentally selfish and exploitative towards other humans. So the two examples he gives, which he says are the fundamental ecological problems facing the globe, are overconsumption of natural resources by the industrialized world and by urban elites in the third world. So basically, rich people in the West and in the third world are overconsuming. That is, producing more than is necessary and consuming more than is necessary, and producing more waste than is necessary. And at the same time, there's growing militarization. I'm not sure exactly. The focus on militarization in connection with environmental issues is a little bit puzzling to me. I'm not entirely sure what Guha has in mind here. But in any case, the first claim should be pretty clear as an example of actions that are neither anthropocentric nor biocentric. And so if that's the case, that fundamentally the ecological problems are not caused by anthropocentrism either, then making the big ethical dilemma one between anthropocentrism and biocentrism is really a false posing of the problem that we face. What we need is, one could put it, now I'm being a little bit creative with what Guha says. He doesn't say this exactly, but one I think could summarize his sentiments by saying what we need is a position that is both anthropocentric and ecocentric, or is sort of anthropo plus biocentric, anthropo plus ecocentric, okay? In contrast to the basically egocentric approaches of over-consuming elites in the over-consuming, rich people in the industrialized world and urban elites in the third world, okay? Regarding the second tenet, Guha's criticism is that the ideal of wilderness preservation is really a distinctly American ideal, that it's aspects of the American environmental movement that have led to the focus on wilderness preservation, but that this doesn't really match the conditions in a place like India, where the country has been very densely populated for a long time, and agrarian populations within the country have developed a, as he puts it, finely balanced relationship with nature, so that there's a concern about sustainability among these agrarian populations. There's already a kind of dynamic interaction with nature that has gone on for a long time. To try to create wilderness areas in a place like India inevitably leads to basically taking land from poor people and designating that as wilderness, which then mostly serves the benefits of richer people. As he puts it, the setting aside of wilderness areas in India has resulted in a direct transfer of resources from the poor to the rich. So he gives the example of tiger protection projects that try to set aside land for tigers to try to repopulate tigers in India. And this has almost always involved taking land that was necessary to the sustenance practices of some, some agrarian populations, less affluent agrarian populations, setting those aside. And then this is to what effect? Guha's, argument is it's to make those areas available for a kind of aesthetic contemplation on the part of people in the West or people in the third world. And people like tigers, they kind of feel good about the idea of preserving tigers. Maybe they could even visit India and see a tiger. But the consequences of the project are that lots of already fairly poor people are not able to have the interaction with nature that they need in order to sustain themselves.